Weaponized excess defines 2025's queer revolution. Gay men refusing respectability politics through maximalist fashion, unapologetic sensuality, aggressive visibility, political confrontation, and everyday boundary pushing demonstrates that tone it down, representing assimilation demand that liberation requiring rejecting, through understanding that straight comfort never goal when authentic expression mattering more than palatable presentation, that approval seeking through self-diminishment, exchanging dignity for conditional acceptance, that revocable remaining through not addressing systematic discrimination, but rather accommodating it through making ourselves smaller. These aren't respectable gays, these are disruptive forces, proving that red carpet provocateurs treating awards shows like drag runways, athletes refusing sanitized PR templates, pop stars making queer desire explicitly sexual not vaguely relatable, political activists weaponizing platforms for justice advocacy, and everyday people challenging workplace heteronormativity, all demonstrating that progress requiring discomfort when change never occurring through polite requests, but rather through persistent visibility, that refusal disappearing, creating when actually being too much, representing reclamation of space, that systematic oppression, attempting limiting through demanding invisibility, that quietness enabling. From fashion rebels treating every appearance like political statement, to athletes integrating pride into sports culture, to musicians centering queer desire unapologetically, to entertainers refusing separating art from activism, to everyday heroes normalizing visibility in conservative spaces. These 5 archetypes demonstrate that 2025's most powerful gay men sharing refusal to shrink for straight comfort when actually amplifying difference rather than minimizing it, proving that liberation requiring boldness, not palatability. Number 1 involves red carpet disruptor whose fashion choices generating annual discourse about appropriateness. Number 4 features entertainer whose political advocacy costing brand deals yet expanding cultural impact. Which too much resonates. Subscribe because unapologetic visibility matters. And gay men refusing respectability politics through maximalist expression demonstrates that progress requiring disruption when polite accommodation never achieving liberation. That systematic change demanding through persistent boundary pushing, that discomfort creating yet transformation enabling when actually comfort maintaining status quo, that challenging requiring courage refusing diminish for others' ease. 1. The red carpet provocateur. Fashion as political disruption. The red carpet provocateur redefines masculine presentation. Gay men appearing at awards shows, premieres, and galas in gender non-conforming fashion, including dresses, corsets, sheer fabrics, dramatic makeup, platform heels, and theatrical accessories demonstrates that formal wears, strict binary representing arbitrary convention not biological necessity, when actually historical variation showing that men's fashion once including tights, heels, makeup, and elaborate decoration, that contemporary narrow definition representing recent invention, not timeless truth, requiring preservation through enforcement. The Billy Porter Oscars 2019 tuxedo gown establishing template, demonstrating that custom Christian Siriano design featuring velvet tuxedo jacket atop full ball gown skirt created cultural moment when actors' red carpet appearance generating global conversation about gender presentation and formal wear conventions shows that single bold choice by prominent figure enabling broader discourse that countless think pieces not equivalent achieving through visual impact, transcending verbal argument when seeing believing more effectively than reading about possibility. Here's what makes red carpet disruption particularly significant for challenging masculine norms. The visibility forcing confrontation with discomfort, proving that straight audiences unable avoiding seeing gender nonconformity when occupying mainstream platforms like Oscars telecast means millions of viewers encountering challenge to assumptions about appropriate masculine presentation in contexts they cannot dismiss as niche queer spaces, enabling avoidance when mainstream penetration requiring engagement that segregated community spaces not equivalent demanding. The annual Fashion Police discourse revealing cultural anxiety, demonstrating that predictable cycle of provocative outfit appearing, social media exploding with takes, morning shows debating appropriateness, and think pieces analyzing meaning shows that fashion choices by queer men generating disproportionate attention relative to straight celebrities' styling demonstrates that gender transgression reading as threatening when violating unstated rules about masculine presentation, that women's fashion experimentation not equivalent triggering through men's greater rigidity about gender display creating higher stakes for violation. But the commercial impact validating approach, proving that designers eager dressing provocative queer celebrities, fashion magazines featuring them extensively, and social media engagement metrics showing high audience interest, demonstrates that controversial styling driving attention that brands valuing when publicity regardless of positive or negative sentiment still translating to visibility, that commercial logic rewarding, despite pearl-clutching responses from conservative commentators whose influence overstated through not representing spending power, that fashion industry following money, not morality. The generational divide in reception showing evolution, demonstrating that younger audiences celebrating bold fashion while older viewers expressing discomfort, reveals that cultural change occurring through cohort replacement. When each generation's norms differing means that controversial presentation today becoming unremarkable tomorrow as attitudes evolving through exposure normalizing what initially shocking when repetition, familiarizing audiences with diversity that singular examples not achieving through sustained visibility required for cultural adjustment. The intersectional dimension adding complexity, proving that white gay men receiving different reception than men of color, when Billy Porter as black man in gown facing racialized commentary that white peers avoiding demonstrates that gender transgression and racial identity, intersecting creating compounded scrutiny, that privilege analysis requiring through not treating gay male experience as monolithic when actually race, class, and other factors mediating how gender nonconformity received by broader public. Today, red carpet provocateurs represent visibility politics, and that fashion choices generating discourse demonstrates that personal styling becoming political statement when refusing conform to masculine presentation norms, challenges cultural assumptions about gender expression, appropriate boundaries showing that too much representing strategic disruption, not accidental excess through intentional boundary-pushing forcing conversation, that comfort never initiating requiring discomfort, catalyzing change. Drop a 1 if fashion rebellion inspires, and that red carpet disruption proves clothing as political statement when gender non-conforming formal wear, forcing mainstream audiences confronting discomfort with masculine presentation diversity, demonstrates that visibility in unavoidable contexts, creating cultural conversation that segregated queer spaces not equivalent enabling through requiring engagement rather than allowing avoidance that transformation demanding through persistent presence. 2. The unapologetically loud athlete, refusing quiet queerness in sports. The loud gay athlete revolutionizes sports visibility, refusing traditional advice about being athlete who happens to be gay, versus foregrounding queer identity through pride participation in uniform, explicit social media presence featuring partners, addressing homophobia directly in interviews, and centering LGBTQ+ advocacy within athletic platform, demonstrates that respectability politics demanding minimization no longer only pathway when actually bold visibility proving commercially viable and culturally impactful beyond quiet assimilation that previous generation strategy representing. The Tom Daley evolution exemplifying template, demonstrating that British Olympic divers' progression from careful privacy to open family documentation including husband Dustin Lance Black, surrogate children, knitting content and pride advocacy, shows trajectory from strategic ambiguity to full integration where queerness neither hidden nor separated from athletic identity, but rather woven throughout public persona, that authenticity enabling genuine connection, that calculated image management preventing through artificial compartmentalization. Here's what makes athletic loudness particularly significant for challenging sports homophobia. The locker room culture confrontation occurring through presence, proving that openly gay athletes whose queerness undeniable through explicit visibility forces teammates, coaches, and organizations either adapting or revealing bigotry, that quiet, closeted existence enabling avoiding when actually bold presence requiring institutional response, that neutrality not permitting through demanding position taking, that silent tolerance versus active support, distinguishing when crisis moments revealing true commitments. The sponsorship landscape evolution validating approach, demonstrating that brands increasingly eager partnering with openly LGBTQ plus athletes when Nike, Adidas, and major corporations recognizing that queer athletes' authentic storytelling connecting with audiences in ways sanitized campaigns not achieving means commercial incentive existing for visibility, that previous assumptions about market rejection not materializing shows that business case for inclusion strengthening through demographic trends and consumer values shifting toward authenticity, valuing. But the mental health costs requiring acknowledgement, proving that being loudly out as athlete involving harassment, online abuse, death threats, and constant scrutiny that quiet closeting, avoiding through invisibility protecting yet visibility's psychological toll. Sometimes severe means that celebrating boldness while supporting athletes navigating difficulty, both necessary when heroic narrative, not acknowledging real risks and harms, that courage not negating through bravery, not preventing pain, that structural support requiring alongside individual resilience. The youth impact multiplying significance, demonstrating that young LGBTQ plus athletes seeing openly gay competitors means understanding that sports participation and queerness coexisting rather than mutually exclusive, that previous generations believing through lack of role models, creating perception that athletics requiring straightness, when actually visibility proving compatibility, that next generation benefiting from through not facing equivalent isolation, that representation providing hope that pathways existing for authentic participation. The intersectional variation affecting reception, proving that white gay male athletes receiving different treatment than athletes of color, women or trans athletes when multiple marginalized identities compounding vulnerability means that loudness is risks, varying based on positionality that privilege analysis requiring through not assuming uniform experience when actually systematic oppression targeting some more severely than others requiring acknowledging varied stakes. The team versus individual sports distinction mattering, demonstrating that solo athletes like divers, figure skaters, and track competitors having more autonomy over public persona than team sport athletes whose visibility potentially affecting teammates, coaches, and organizational dynamics creates different calculation about disclosure and advocacy, that context-specific navigation requiring rather than one-size-fits-all approach applying universally. Today, loud gay athletes represent sports culture transformation, and that refusing quiet queerness through explicit visibility, pride participation, partner documentation, and advocacy platform demonstrates that athletic excellence and bold LGBTQ plus identity coexisting when athlete who happens to be gay, framing no longer only acceptable template showing that foregrounding queerness, not incompatible with competition proving that authentic integration possible beyond minimization. Drop a 2 if athletic boldness matters, and that loud gay athletes prove sports belonging to everyone when refusing quiet respectability through explicit visibility demonstrates that locker room culture evolving through presence forcing adaptation, showing that bold queerness and athletic excellence coexisting not requiring choosing between identity and competition, that false choice rejecting through integrated authentic presentation. 3. The sexually explicit pop star, centering queer desire unapologetically. The sexually explicit gay pop star revolutionizes mainstream music, refusing gender-neutral pronouns and vague romantic lyrics in favor of explicitly male-male desire through specific anatomical references, hookup culture documentation, club/app/cruising narratives, and unapologetic sensuality demonstrates that radio-friendly sanitization no longer required for commercial success when actually specificity connecting with queer audiences more deeply than pandering universality, that straight accessibility prioritizing through self-censorship, that artistic integrity compromising. The Troye Sivan Bloom exemplifying template, demonstrating that 2018 song's explicit reference to anal sex through flower metaphor meant mainstream pop radio playing track about specifically gay sexual experience shows cultural shift when previous eras requiring complete ambiguity, yet contemporary moment-enabling specificity, that queer listeners immediately recognizing while straight audiences either not noticing or not caring, demonstrates that explicit content possible when artistry sufficient and cultural moment permitting. Here's what makes sexual explicitness particularly significant for gay male representation: the reversal of presumed audience centrality, proving that decades of gay people translating straight love songs into relatable content through mental gender swapping created exhaustion that finally addressed through artists centering queer experience without apology means straight listeners for first time experiencing feeling excluded from presumed audience that perspective, shifting educational value providing when actually understanding marginalization through rare moment of non-centrality that empathy potentially building. The body positivity and sex positivity intersection enhancing impact, demonstrating that explicit gay pop not only centering male desire, but often celebrating diverse body types, kink, recreational sex, and pleasure-seeking without relationship. Requirement challenges both heteronormative and homonormative respectability politics that monogamous coupled domestic gay life as only acceptable narrative enforcing through marginalizing single, sexual, and non-conventional relationship people whose experiences deserving representation equivalently. But the commercial risks remaining real despite progress, proving that radio airplay limitations, playlist placements, and streaming service restrictions still affecting explicitly queer content more severely than equivalent straight sexuality, demonstrates that double standard persisting when male artists singing about female bodies rarely facing censorship that gay male desire routinely encountering shows that homophobia underlying ostensibly appropriateness concerns that actually targeting queer sexuality, specifically not sexuality generally. The visual aesthetics complementing lyrical content, demonstrating that music videos featuring male dancers touching, club scenes, sexual suggestion, and queer cultural references creating complete artistic statement that audio alone not providing means that visual medium's importance requiring acknowledgement, when YouTube and streaming platforms enabling video discovery that MTV-era gatekeeping, not equivalent controlling shows, that technological change enabling end runs around traditional censorship, that distribution democratization facilitating. The generational reception divide revealing values shift, proving that younger audiences embracing explicit gay pop, while older listeners expressing discomfort shows that cultural evolution occurring through cohort replacement. When Gen Z listeners growing up without gay artists producing explicit content, experiencing as normal what previous generations viewing as shocking, demonstrates that normalization requiring time and exposure, that sustained visibility, enabling through repetition, familiarizing. The class and race dimensions affecting whose explicitness acceptable, demonstrating that white middle-class gay pop stars facing different reception than working-class artists or artists of color, when respectability politics intersecting with racism and classism means that who permitted explicitness varying based on identity markers, that privilege providing protection, that marginalized artists not accessing equally. Today, sexually explicit gay pop represents artistic liberation, and that centering queer desire unapologetically through specific male sexuality, hookup culture, and recreational pleasure demonstrates that mainstream music accommodating explicit gay content when artistry sufficient, showing that radio friendliness no longer requiring gender-neutral sanitization, that self-censorship demanding proves that authenticity and commercial viability coexisting when specificity connecting deeply with target audience while educating broader listeners about experience diversity. Drop a 3 if authentic desire matters, and that sexually explicit gay pop proves specificity bonding when centering queer male sexuality unapologetically demonstrates that decades of translation exhaustion finally addressed through music for gay listeners by gay artists about gay experience, showing that presumed straight audience centrality no longer absolute when actually queer market sufficient supporting explicit content, commercially validating bold artistic choices. 4. The politically confrontational celebrity. Weaponizing platform for justice. The politically confrontational gay celebrity refuses entertainment activism separation, using acceptance speeches for trans rights advocacy, social media for legislative critique, interviews for systematic oppression analysis, and platform for intersectional solidarity demonstrates that stick to entertaining us. Demand representing attempt silencing when actually prominence providing megaphone, that moral responsibility requiring use beyond self-promotion when systematic injustice demanding response, that neutrality enabling through silence functioning as complicity, that active opposition necessitating. The Lil Nas X strategic provocation exemplifying approach, demonstrating that rappers' Call Me By Your Name music video featuring hell imagery, lap dance for Satan, and explicit queer sexuality created controversy, generating massive publicity while simultaneously critiquing religious homophobia through satire, shows that political art, combining entertainment and activism more effectively than separated approaches when integrated message reaching audiences that exclusively political content not accessing through embedding critique within consumable media. Here's what makes political confrontation particularly significant for celebrity activism. The brand deal casualties revealing costs, proving that outspoken LGBTQ+ advocacy frequently resulting in lost sponsorships, canceled partnerships, and commercial opportunities forgone, demonstrates that speaking truth to power, involving real financial sacrifice, not simply performative gesture, when actually choosing principle over profit, requiring genuine commitment, that many celebrities avoiding through prioritizing income over integrity, that comfortable silence maintaining through not risking wealth for values. The intersectional solidarity expanding impact, demonstrating that gay celebrities advocating beyond narrow self-interest for trans rights, racial justice, immigrant protection, and economic equality, shows understanding that liberation interconnected when single-issue politics, insufficient addressing systematic oppression, requiring coalition building across movements, that mutual aid strengthening through recognizing common enemies and shared strategies, that isolated identity politics not achieving through lacking power that numbers providing. But the privilege enabling boldness, requiring acknowledgement, proving that wealthy established celebrities facing less risk from political speech than emerging artists, working professionals, or everyday people whose livelihoods more precarious means that celebrating celebrity activism, while recognizing that platform providing cushion that others lacking important for not romanticizing courage, that privilege enabling through financial security, allowing risk-taking, that economic vulnerability preventing most people from equivalent undertaking. The effectiveness debates surrounding celebrity activism, demonstrating that critics arguing that famous people's political statements ineffective or counterproductive versus defenders claiming visibility and fundraising capacity. Making meaningful difference reveals ongoing tension about celebrity role in movements when actually varied approaches all contributing differently. That singular strategy not existing through context-specific effectiveness requiring acknowledging rather than declaring universal rules. The backlash management strategies varying, proving that some politically outspoken gay celebrities doubling down when criticized while others softening positions shows different risk tolerance and strategic calculation when actually no perfect approach existing through all choices involving trade-offs, that individual circumstances determining optimal navigation, that judgment from safe positions, wrongly imposing universal standards, not accounting for varied vulnerabilities and goals. The mental health toll from constant engagement, demonstrating that politically active celebrities describing exhaustion, burnout, harassment, death threats, and psychological cost of public advocacy shows that speaking out involving personal sacrifice beyond financial when emotional well-being suffering through constant attacks that support systems requiring yet often lacking when isolated individuals bearing collective burdens, that community responsibility diffusing would alleviate through not expecting heroes enduring alone. Today, politically confrontational celebrities represent platform weaponization, and that refusing separation between entertainment and activism through acceptance speech advocacy, social media critique, interview analysis, and intersectional solidarity demonstrates that prominence providing megaphone, that moral responsibility requiring use beyond self-promotion, when systematic injustice demanding response, that neutrality enabling through silence functioning as complicity, requiring active opposition beyond comfortable entertainment provision. Drop a 4 if political courage inspires, and that confrontational celebrities prove platforms requiring responsibility when refusing stick to entertaining through advocacy demonstrates that prominence providing opportunity for justice work, that moral obligation demanding use, showing that brand deal losses and harassment endured representing genuine sacrifice, that commitment proving beyond performative gesture when actually choosing principle over profit despite costs. 5. The everyday workplace disruptor, normalizing queerness in conservative spaces. The everyday workplace disruptor represents unglamorous courage. Gay men in conservative professions, small towns, religious organizations, or traditional industries refusing closeting through partner acknowledgement at company events, pronoun email signatures before policy requiring casual orientation mentions in workplace conversation, and challenging homophobic comments demonstrates that visibility progress not only occurring in coastal cities and entertainment industry, but everywhere, that LGBTQ plus people existing yet facing pressure remaining invisible, that resistance requiring extraordinary daily courage, that recognition rarely receiving. The cumulative impact exceeding individual acts, demonstrating that single teacher correcting "that's gay" pejorative, accountant bringing husband to office party, engineer with pride flag desk photo, or construction worker refusing gay joke laughter, each separately small, yet collectively transforming workplace culture, shows that systematic change resulting from aggregated individual boundary pushing, not singular dramatic gestures, when actually persistent presence normalizing diversity, that exposure enabling attitude evolution, that absence preventing through ignorance maintaining. Here's what makes everyday disruption particularly significant for sustainable progress: the lack of institutional support increasing risk, proving that workplace activists often acting without explicit organizational backing means personal vulnerability when hostile reactions, HR complaints, or subtle retaliation occurring, yet no PR team, legal support, or financial cushion protecting, demonstrates courage exceeding celebrity activism, that privilege shielding through everyday people facing consequences alone, that community requiring supporting through recognition and material aid beyond simply celebrating. The geographic variation affecting stakes dramatically, demonstrating that being openly gay in small-town workplace involving different calculation than urban coastal city when social isolation, limited job market, and conservative cultural environment creating compounded vulnerability that metropolitan queer people not experiencing equivalently means that same disclosure representing varied courage levels depending on context, that universal judgment wrongly ignoring through not accounting for structural differences in safety and acceptance. But the mentorship impact justifying risk, proving that openly gay professionals serving as role models for closeted colleagues, LGBTQ plus junior employees, and questioning youth creates ripple effects when visibility showing that authentic living possible means next generation not facing equivalent isolation that earlier cohorts experiencing through lack of visible predecessors, yet presence providing roadmap that courage inspiring in others through example demonstrating feasibility. The policy change advocacy from within, demonstrating that employee resource groups, benefits expansion campaigns, inclusive language initiatives, and discrimination policy improvements, often resulting from internal advocacy by LGBTQ plus employees willing risking comfort for collective benefit, shows that institutional change requiring insider agitation, not only external pressure, when people within organizations leveraging position for justice advancing structural protections that future employees inheriting. The intersectional vulnerability compounding risk, proving that gay men of color, working-class gay men, disabled gay men, and those holding multiple marginalized identities facing compounded discrimination means that workplace visibility costs varying dramatically based on positionality that single-axis gay experience, wrongly universalizing through not acknowledging that race, class, disability, and other factors mediating how queerness received and what retaliation looking like. The small-town visibility carrying unique weight, demonstrating that being only openly gay person in rural workplace or conservative organization, providing representation that urban concentration not equivalent offering when people needing seeing LGBTQ plus individuals in own communities rather than only distant celebrities, means that local visibility impact exceeding metropolitan, where queerness more familiar through exposure that rural areas often lacking requiring pioneers whose courage paving way. Today, everyday workplace disruptors represent sustainable activism, and that refusing workplace closeting through partner acknowledgement, pronoun signatures, casual orientation mentions, and homophobic comment challenges demonstrates that visibility progress occurring everywhere. Not only entertainment industry, when persistent presence in conservative spaces, normalizing diversity through exposure, enabling attitude evolution, that absence preventing shows that unglamorous daily courage, advancing acceptance equivalently to celebrity visibility, yet recognition rarely receiving despite personal costs exceeding. Drop a 5 if everyday heroes matter, and that workplace disruptors prove courage everywhere when refusing closeting. In conservative professions demonstrates that visibility in unglamorous contexts advancing progress through normalizing presence, showing that LGBTQ plus people belonging everywhere, not requiring entertainment industry involvement, that media overrepresenting, yet actual distribution broader requiring acknowledging that daily boundary pushing in workplaces, small towns, religious spaces advancing acceptance persistently without recognition celebrating. 5 archetypes of excess, 5 different strategies refusing diminishment. Red carpet provocateurs treating fashion as political disruption, loud athletes integrating pride into sports culture, sexually explicit pop stars centering queer desire unapologetically, politically confrontational celebrities weaponizing platforms for justice, everyday workplace disruptors normalizing queerness in conservative spaces demonstrates that too much representing strategic asset, not accidental liability, when actually liberation requiring boldness, that respectability politics demanding suppression through assimilation, seeking conditional acceptance, that revocable remaining versus authentic expression, risking rejection yet claiming dignity, that approval not contingent upon, fashion rebellion forcing visibility, athletic loudness transforming culture, sexual explicitness centering desire, political confrontation demanding justice, everyday disruption normalizing presence, the undeniable truth, tone it down representing oppression demand, proving that requests for palatability serving straight comfort, not queer liberation when actually shrinking ourselves enabling continued marginalization, that space-taking disrupting through presence, forcing accommodation rather than requesting permission, that never granted voluntarily but rather claimed through persistent boundary pushing, that discomfort creating yet transformation, enabling when change never occurring through polite asking, but rather through making invisibility impossible, that visibility demanding recognition. Which too much resonates? These 5 prove excess as strategy, and refusing respectability through maximalist expression demonstrates that progress requiring disruption when systematic oppression, not yielding to polite requests but rather to persistent presence, that accommodation forcing through making exclusion untenable when visibility rendering erasure impossible, shows that being too much representing reclamation of space, that marginalization attempting limiting through quietness, demanding that resistance requiring refusing through amplification, instead that power claiming through presence, asserting unapologetically. Subscribe because unapologetic visibility matters, and too much as Superpower proves that liberation requiring boldness when respectability politics demanding self-diminishment for conditional acceptance, yet authentic expression choosing dignity over approval shows that freedom not granted, but rather claimed through persistent refusal disappearing. That systematic oppression demanding through invisibility, enabling continued marginalization. That presence disrupting requires courage, celebrating, through recognizing that transformation demanding discomfort, that comfort maintaining status quo, never challenging requiring boundary pushing, that heroes undertaking deserve, supporting beyond simply celebrating when costs real requiring community bearing collectively.